Okay, sorry, just burped. Sorry about that. Okay, you don't care. Anyway, here we go. New York State exams broken down. Remember, these video series, if you have, this is the first one, these video series are all of the parts 2s, 3s, and 4s. The 2-point questions, 4-point questions, and 6-point questions from all New York State Regents exams broken down by topic. I do have one topic that's rather large. It's miscellaneous. It's all the weird stuff that comes up that really doesn't belong in any unit. Maybe I could have put it in some, but whatever. If you want to download these and print these, go to my website, mrkrausemath.com. It's pretty easy. You go to Regents Review, and somewhere in here, eventually, I'm going to have the topics that you can click on. If you want all the old Regents exams, just click on that one. If you want continued review, I've got a ton of videos right here for logarithms, exponential, trigonometric formulas, and equations. Lots and lots of videos for you to review. Give you lots of opportunity to review. Anyway, that's that. There should be something for these things as well. If you haven't got my flashcards, get my flashcards. There's the directions right there on my main website. Just click right there. It'll take you to a little PDF. You go to Study Blue. It's taking a while because I'm uploading a video. Every time I upload a video and try to show you guys my flashcards, I should probably do that afterwards. Anyway, that'll be up in a second. I'll come back to it. We're going to talk about factoring. Now, I am going to use the graphing calculator to help me cheat and factor, but I also want to show you how to do it properly. So we're going to do it properly first, and we're going to check it by cheating. For those of you that don't have the TI Inspire, I want to apologize. You're not going to like this. For those of you that want my flashcards, again, you want to look for, I'm from Hilton High School, and I think the directions say, if you click on the directions, it'll say here what you got to type in. Right here, Hilton High School, Mr. Krause, Algebra 2, Trigonometry, Kendrick Krause. All right. Oftentimes when you start to type in these, it'll just show up. But if you don't know these flashcards, now I want you to notice something. There's 244 flashcards. Those of you that walk into the Algebra 2 Trig knowing most of those, you don't have to know them all, but knowing most of those are going to rock the test. Those of you that refuse to do what it takes to memorize, you're going to be in trouble. You know, I just choose flip cards. Everything random, front side first. Click Study Now. And then when it comes up, you can just ask yourself, eventually, maybe. Okay, so cosine of 300, 60 degrees, negative a half. But, positive half is in the fourth quadrant. But what formula do you use when you see varies inversely? I've done these a couple times, and it'll be on, there's a couple of them on the miscellaneous document, but you're going to use the formula xy equals xy. Very simple. If the roots are imaginary, what do you know? You know that the discriminant is negative. You also know that it never hits the x-axis if you graph it. Log of a plus b. Now, if you don't know that's log of a plus the log of b, it's time for you to start studying your flashcards. All right, kids? I can't stress that enough. Get them. They will help you tremendously, and they're free. They're free. I spent all the time putting them together. All right, let's get to go. Let's get to go. I don't even know what that means for English, but we're going to do it for English. All right, here we go. So anytime there's 4 terms, you're probably going to factor by grouping. We're going to group the first 2 and group the second thing. I want you to notice there's no equal sign. That means there's no answers. You simply factor. You don't have an equals until you get the word solve. All right, so we're going to take out an x squared. We're left with x plus 3. Plus, take out a 2. We're left with x plus 3. Now, if those parentheses don't match, you can't do it this way. It doesn't work. They almost always do. So my first parenthesis is x plus 3. Take that away. Take that away. What's left over is x squared plus 2. Done. That's just a simple 2-point question. Again, you got to remember where you are. You're on a 2-point question. So the problems should be easy. Whenever you have an equation, and some of these, by the way, this one will be a quadratic, but some of these don't belong here because they're not quadratics. This one will be. This one, you're going to look at the 3 denominators and say, okay, what do I have to multiply by? What is the lowest common denominator? And if I look at all these, the lowest common number is 4, but there's also an x. So I'm going to put a 4x next to each one of these. All right, and I'm going to start lopping stuff off. 2 goes into 4 twice, so that leaves me 2x times 5x, which is 10x squared. This x cancels this x. That leaves me 1 plus, 4, because only the x cancels, 4. And then this 4 cancels this 4, leaves me x squared. So this is a quadratic. Here's my biggest squares. I'm going to move everything to this side. I get 9x squared minus 4 equals 0, because I subtracted the 4 and I also subtracted this x squared. Well, those are difference of perfect squares. 9 is a perfect square and 4 is a perfect square. So we're going to rewrite it as 3x and 3x plus 2 and minus 2, 2. So my two answers are 3x equals negative 2, or x equals negative 2/3. And this will end up just being x equals positive 2/3. Make your answer look professional. 2/3, negative 2/3. All right, factor completely. No equal sign, no solving. Don't try to solve these things. Generally, if you see the words completely, there's at least 2 steps to do, sometimes 3. First step, we're going to take out this x squared. I'm left with x minus 6. Now we're going to copy over the sign, and out of these 2, we're going to take out a 25, but we're actually taking out a negative 25. So we're left with x minus 6, because negative 25 times negative 6 is this positive 150. So now I'm left with x minus 6 and x squared minus 25. Well, up here I had x squared plus 2. I couldn't do anything else with that. But down here I have an x squared plus 25, and since that's a difference of perfect squares, I have to factor that as well. X plus 5, x minus 5. There is no solutions, just box it in. If you do not have an equal sign, you should not be doing any more equal stuff. There shouldn't be any equals at the end. All right, kids, I'll be back. And then there's this one. So let me just tell you, in my classroom, there's a few F words you're allowed to use. One is fun. Clearly, we're having fun. The other one is factoring and fractions, because every once in a while you want to see something like this. And you're like, what the fraction is that fractioning thing doing on my fractioning paper? What the fraction am I supposed to do with that? I know what you're talking about, but everybody else thinks you're just a little bit odd. So it's actually not that hard of a problem. And we're going to use our calculator to help us a little bit. But if you divide by a fraction, the other way to write this is 36 minus x squared over x plus 6 divided by x minus 3 x squared plus 3x minus 18. But you know that if you have a division, you have to flip and multiply. So what I want to tell you is whenever you divide by a fraction, you're really going to multiply by the reciprocal. And the reciprocal of this is x squared plus 3x minus 18. So whenever you divide by a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to start doing all of these over here. I'm going to start with this one. Now this one, alert, 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 alert. It's backwards. It is backwards. There's a really good chance we're going to have the -1 rule on this. So just be aware of the fact we might have that. It is the difference of perfect squares, 6 times 6. Notice the number is coming first and then the variable, because that's how it is here. X plus 6 squared is just x plus 6 times x plus 6 times this x minus 3 stays down here. We've already flipped it, and then we got x plus 6 and x minus 3. Okay, take out my other pen. You cancel with you, you cancel with you. Now these cancel exactly. Even though they're backwards, they cancel exactly. There's no -1 rule there. So my answer is really just 6 minus x. That's it. Now, I didn't need to cheat on that one because the factoring wasn't that difficult, but you really should check your answer. Put in some stupid number for x, 2.4, stow it in for x. And I'm not going to check all of these because it's going to take way too much time, but if you're on the Regents exam, you should check to make sure you're the right answer, 2.4. So I'll do this, control division, and then control division, and we had 36 minus x squared all over x plus 6 squared, x plus 6 squared all over control division, x minus 3 all over x squared plus 3x minus 18. Now when I get enter, I'm going to get some stupid number. Oh, 3.6. And then I'm going to type in 6 minus x. Because that's what I came up with as my answer. The whole thing simplified to 6 minus x. And look at that. 3.6 equals 3.6. So I'm going, ping, star it. Done. All right, moving on. Solve the following equations and express in simplest radical form. Now, you know what this means? This means you're not factoring this. You have two options, completing the square or the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula always works. Completing the square doesn't necessarily work. And in this case, you can't use completing the square because you have to have a 1 here and an even number here. Now, while I have an even number here, I don't have a 1 here. So we're not using completing the square. We are going to use the quadratic formula. Now, your teachers might do it slightly different than I do. I do A, B, C, and discriminant. A is 6, B is -2, C is -3. The discriminant is B squared, which is just 4. Don't write -2 squared because you put that in your calculator, it's going to be wrong. You know -2 times -2 is +4. -4 times 6 times -3. If you put that in your calculator, you're going to end up with, I'm just going to cheat a little bit, 76. Well, we're almost done. We're almost done. Believe it or not, this problem is almost finished. So we're going to do x equals 6 over, whoa, let's back up the crazy train. Negative b, 2 over 2 times 6. Plus or minus the square root of 76 over 2 times 6. Well, it says simplest radical form, so coming off to the side over here, what the heck? Oh, we went to a different thing. That's weird. So off to the side here, I'm going to take off the square root of 76. Now, I know 4 goes into it just because I do. 4 times, cut in half, 38, cut in half, 19. And 19 is prime. So this, when I simplify it, is 2 square roots of 19. I can't help you with that. That's something you're going to, right now I just can't help you. I don't have time for that. So this is really 2 square roots of 19. So here the 2's cancel. I'm left with, careful, I'm left with 1 over 6 plus or minus the square root of 19 over 6. And there it is. I'll be back. So at first glance, this next one looks rather difficult, but it's actually quite easy. Quite easy. I think we might cheat on our first one on the next one. Can't seem to move that though the way I want to. There we go. All right. So I want to factor this completely. Factor completely normally means you're going to take out a GCF and then keep going. So in this case, I can take out a 3t to the 4th. Notice no equal sign, so there shouldn't be any equal signs at the end. 4t to the 4th minus 25. So 3t to the 4th, 2t squared plus 5, 2t squared minus 5. There you go. That's it. That's all she wrote. That's it. Finished. Factor completely. What do they have in common? They all have an a. Do they all have an x? Nope. Do they all have a 5? Nope. So I can take out an a, and I'm left with 10x squared minus 23x minus 5. Now that factoring does look quite nasty, but let me show you how this calculator works. You go menu 331, 3 for number, 3 for power tools, and 1 for finding the roots. We just click OK, and you just tell it what the 3 numbers are: 10, -23, 10, -23, and -5. Now it's going to tell you the solutions negative 1/5 and 5/2. So negative 1/5. That means this is going to be 5x plus 1. And this is 5/2. So that means it's going to be 2x minus 5. The 2 goes out here, and the sign has to be opposite. The 5 goes here, and the sign has to be opposite. And you can check it. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times negative 5 is negative 5. And then 25 plus, negative 25 plus 3, 2x is it. And that's it. We're done. Problem's over with. Expresses a trinomial. That just means, well, what this means is write this thing twice. So you see fractions and you see all these fancy stuff and like, oh my God, that's so hard, I can't do it. But it's not hard. It really isn't. You can do it. You can do it. Man, I sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger. All right, we're going to multiply those together. We get 4 over 9x squared. Now, if you don't know that's 4 over 9, grab the old calculator. Be embarrassed. Don't let anybody look. Just look around. Make sure nobody's looking, and then use your calculator. But whatever. So 2/3 times negative 1 is negative 2/3 x minus 2/3 x plus 1. Now, if you do this right, you get 4/9 x squared minus 4 over 3x plus 1. Now, make sure you check your answer. Again, we have 2.4 stored into x. I can make anything. 3.65 stow x. The calculator is doing all the work for me anyway. What do I care? So 2/3 x, so parenthesis, 2 divided by 3x minus 1. Make sure it looks like exactly like there. 2/3 x minus 1. Oh, I forgot to put it in parentheses. I will square it. So you get that. Forgot to square it. And then we'll just write our final answer. 4 divided by 9x squared minus 4/3 x minus 4 divided by 3x plus 1. And just to show you that it works, come back to this one. Put it in parentheses. This is the way it should have looked. Because this is exactly what I was given it. And you'll notice that they're exactly the same. Ka-ching! Money! This one really messed up kids because it had fractioning, but it says expresses a trinomial. It just means we're going to double distribute again. We're going to multiply these two together. 1/2 times 12. That's 6y to the 4th. 1/2 times 3/5 is plus 3/10 y squared. Negative 1/3 times 12 is negative 4y squared minus 1/5 y. Now these two can be combined because it says express as a trinomial. And if you just grabbed your calculator and added them, you get something really odd, 37 over 10 y squared minus 1/5 y. And my kids go, I didn't realize that was the right answer. Yeah, well, substitute a number in for y, hit a times button here in the middle, and it should work. This problem doesn't belong here. This actually was on the Common Core test, and at first I thought it was hard problems, but it's not. We're going to multiply by the common denominators, 3x, 3x, 3x. X's cancel, I end up with 3 minus x equals negative 1. Move the 3 over, I get x equals negative 4. Divide by negative 1, I get x equals positive 4. Divide by negative 1. That's the answer. This one doesn't belong here either. It's not a good problem. You look through, you find the common denominator. The common denominator is 2d. 2d, this is just a complex fraction. I thought it was going to turn into a factoring problem, but it didn't. But you'll deal with it. So anyway, we can do this. The 2's cancel. I left with d plus. D's cancel. I'm left with, ooh, it's not plus, it's minus. D minus 8. All over. The d's cancel. I'm left with 2 plus, and the 2d's cancel. I'm left with 3. So I get d minus 8 over 5. And again, if you just simply stored a number in for d, 5.23 stow. The reason I pick weird numbers is that way you have like 0 chance of finding one where the fraction's undefined. If you pick like 2 or 3 or 4, oftentimes those will make the fractions undefined. So I just pick random numbers. No, I should have picked it in for d, right? Doesn't matter. And then I do control division, and then control division, and it was 1/2 minus 4 over d, so 1, oh man, half minus control division 4 over D all over control division 1 over D, 1 over D plus control division 3 over 2D. And I get that stupid answer. And we said the answer was D minus 8 over 5. So we do control division. D minus 8. Got the D. All over 5. And hope we get the same stupid answer. We do. It's correct. Okay, so it's an easy way to check. All right. So this next one says, let's solve by completing the square. Since this is an easy problem, I'll just do it quickly. It's a 4-point question, which I'm really a little weirded out by why it's such a 4-point question. I know why. So plus square. So the first rule is bring the constant over and write it with 2 squares. Now the reason I put 2 squares is because whatever I add to the left side, I got to come and add to the right side. Writing this as a perfect square trinomial, we're going to write x squared plus half of this goes here. And then 5 squared goes here. But if I put a 25 here, I got to put a 25 here. So I get equals 33. Now, I'm not done. I still got to solve it. I still need to get x all by itself. So we'll take the square root. And one of my flashcards remind you, when you take the square root, you have to remember to put a plus or minus. So I get x plus 5 equals plus or minus radical 33. Or x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus radical 33. And 33 can't be broken down, so there's your answer. Now you're saying to yourself, geez, I wonder if that's the right answer. So here we go. 5 plus radical 33 stow x. Why not check it? And then I come up here and I go, okay, x squared plus 10x, x squared plus 10x minus 8. Hopefully it's 0. Oops. Oh, I have times. I meant plus. That was bad. Delete plus. Oh, it's negative 5. Oh, see where I wrote down the wrong answer. It's negative 5 plus radical 33. It's negative. And then I come up here, and hopefully this works this time. So you check your answers. There it is. Oh, that's just times 10 to the minus 13. That's a 0. That's a 0. All right. All right, I'll be right back. Oh my God, I'm feeling really bad. It's way past my bedtime. It's almost 11 o'clock. I should be getting up in just a couple of hours. Okay, solve for x. So when it says solve, that means we're going to have answers at the end. So we've got 4 things we're going to do this by grouping. So in that first group, I can take out an x squared, and I'm left with x minus 2x minus 1. Minus, now out of these two, I can take out a 4, and I'm left with 2x minus 1. Now notice I'm really taking out a negative 4. Equals 0. So what do I got? My first set of parentheses are 2x minus 1. My second set is x squared minus 4 equals 0. I can still factor that perfect square. So I get 2x minus 1, x plus 2, x minus 2. Now this one doesn't say factor completely. If it did, I'd be done. It says it wants the answers. So my answers are positive 1/2, x equals negative 2, and x equals positive 2. Make your answers look professional. 1/2, negative 2, and 2. All right, bodied. All right. I have to tell you, my first rule for solving these is to get rid of these negatives here. I don't like them. They're problems. Put parentheses around this. So my lowest common denominator here is x plus 2. If you see it, put parentheses around these, because x plus 2 is completely different than this plain old x here. Now when I want to go through and solve these, I'll multiply through by x, x plus 2. This one doesn't belong here. Actually, it does. X plus 2. Actually, this is a really good question. X plus 2. All right, so grab a different colored pen. I would take a blue and black pen on the test with you. This cancels with this. I distribute the 3, and I get 3x plus 6. Be careful. X plus 2's cancel. I'm left with plus x squared equals x plus 2's cancel minus 2x. My x squared is positive here, so I'm going to move this over. So I end up with x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Careful with the factoring here. The math department or the math people in New York State love to put 5 and 6 there because everybody that jumps on 3 and 2 or 5 and 1 or 6 and 1, you just got to be really careful. So x and x, in this case, it's going to be plus 2 and plus 3. They multiply to positive 6 and add up to positive 5. So I have two answers, x equals negative 2 and x equals negative 3. But I'm going to tell you right now, one of these is going to cause a problem. Now, if you go back and look at the original problem, what number would make this undefined? 0. So 0 can't be an answer. What number would make this undefined? Negative 2. Negative 2 can't be an answer. So we have to cross that off. So our only answer in this case is negative 3. And if you tried putting that in your calculator, it would tell you crashola. All right, here's a complex fraction. It's a complex fraction. But complex fractions should be 2-point questions because they're really, really easy. Now, the reason this is a 4-point is because we've got some factoring involved. So we're going to look at the three denominators. We're going to find the lowest common denominator, and that would be x squared. So I will put an x squared next to each one of these fractions because you're really multiplying the numerator by x squared and you're multiplying the denominator by x squared. So nothing cancels here, so I'm left with x squared plus this x cancels with one of these. It leaves me plus 3x all over. Nothing cancels here. X squared, 1x cancels, minus 5x, and this x squared cancels, minus 24. Now I just factor x plus 3, common denominator, or common factor. And because there's an x plus 3 on top, there's probably an x plus 3 on bottom. And then this would be x minus 8. So those cancel, and I'm left with x over x minus 8. Now, when it comes time to your Regents, I'm not going to check these. But when it comes time to your Regents, please, don't be lazy. Stow a number in for x. Type this in. Type your answer in and verify that you get the exact same result. All right, we're going to solve. Solve means first of all we have to set them both equal, set it equal to 0. So x cubed plus 5x squared minus 4x minus 20 equals 0. Set it equal to 0. There's 4 things, so we're going to group. So I take out an x squared here, and I'm left with x plus 5. Boom, not a problem. Take out a minus 4. They love doing that minus 4. You're taking out a minus 4, so it's x plus 5. Remember, these parentheses must match. If they don't, you did something wrong, or it doesn't work that way. You end up with x plus 5 times x squared minus 4. Oh, well, that's the difference of perfect squares, so we'll just keep going with that. X plus 5, x plus 2, x minus 2. But this is a solve, so I need answers. X equals negative 5, x equals negative 2, x equals positive 2. Look professional. Negative 5, negative 2, 2. There you go. This one's not too bad. Actually, this is actually much worse problem than you think it is. I probably, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this one 2 different ways, so I'll be right back. Okay. Okay. This problem looks really, really easy, but then I see this in simplest radical form over here, which means you're not factoring this thing, which means I'm going to have a quadratic that can't be factored. First thing I'm going to do is make everything a fraction, and I'm going to look. The lowest common denominator is x. So I'm going to multiply everything through by x. So in this first one, the x's cancel. I'm left with 13 equals, and then nothing cancels on the next one, 10x minus x squared. That's a quadratic. We want our x squared to be positive, so we're going to move everything to the right or to the left. X squared minus 10x plus 13 equals 0. Now, since it says simplest radical form, you're not factoring this thing. So I have two options. The first way I'm going to do this is completing the square, and then I'm going to do it by quadratic formula. Quadratic formula always works. Now, you only want to use completing the square if this is a 1 and this is even. Okay? So I write x squared minus 10x plus square equals negative 13 plus square. What goes in the parentheses is half of this, so x minus 5. Negative 5 squared is 25. It's always positive, what you're going to add. So I get 12. Next step is to take the square root. When you take the square root, you put a plus or minus. Don't forget that stuff. Man, it's like 11:10, and I'm like, woo, amped up, and I don't even have coffee, but I'm going to get some soon. So I get x minus 5 equals, let's see, radical 12. Let me do that right here. Radical 12 is radical 4 times times 3, which is 2 radical 3. So plus or minus 2 radical 3. Bring the 5 over, I get x equals 5 plus or minus 2 radical 3. And if you stowed that and checked it, it would work. Now, the other way to do that, instead of doing this one by completing the square, is to do it by the quadratic formula. So we'll write down a equals 1, b equals negative 10, c equals 13, and d, which is our discriminant, is equal to 100, which is b squared. Don't put negative 100 squared. Just put negative 10 times negative 10, you know, is 100, minus 4 times 1 times 13. Now, if you put this in your calculator, you get 48. So we're almost done. X equals negative b, 10, over 2 times 1, plus or minus the square root of 48 over 2 times 1. Well, the square root of 48 over here, that's the square root. Hopefully you've done enough of these things, so you get it 16 times 3, which is 4 squared to 3. And if I simplify this, I get x equals 5 plus or minus 2 radical 3, which is the same answer as I got before. So either way, you're all right. All right, if you remember correctly, I said when we divide by a fraction, what you really want to do is multiply by the reciprocal. Now, I'm going to point something out to you. This is backwards. As soon as I see something that's backwards, in my mind, I'm thinking the -1 rule. Now, if your teacher doesn't call it the -1 rule, that's okay. I'm going to show you what I mean by that in just a second. But it is backwards, and you should be on alert. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of this. So x plus 3 all over 2x minus 4. Now, notice I didn't factor anything yet. I'm going to do that right here. 4 minus x. Now, the 4 comes first, so that when you factor it, the 2's have to come first. Don't switch it around because it makes you feel better. Nobody cares how you feel. I care that you understand how to do math. So make sure you're doing that correctly. X plus 3, x plus 4. We factor the denominator. This one's just x plus 3. And this one I can take out a 2, and I'm left with x minus 2. All right, so let's see what cancels. This x plus 3 cancels with this x plus 3. This x minus 2 does in fact cancel with this x minus 2, but it only makes -1, not +1. So you can't just lop them off. So my final answer is -2 plus x all over 2x plus 4. There's your answer. I know it's weird, but that's your answer. Actually, this one doesn't belong on the quadratic sheet, so this one we'll go through quickly, but it is a really difficult question. It turns out to be a linear problem at the end, but it is a difficult question. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this minus right here. I'm going to put it right here and make this a plus. Now, this is backwards, which causes me consternation, makes me mad. So I'm going to flip it around. But if I flip it around, just like I talked to you before, that's the -1 rule. So you have to introduce a negative or put a negative in. Well, I already have a negative there. I'll make that positive. This factors to x plus 3, x minus 3. So my common denominator is x plus 3, x minus 3. X plus 3, x minus 3. And then x plus 3, x minus 3. Now, if you didn't move this negative and you didn't do this flipping around, this problem is all but freaking impossible. But now that we've done it, it's pretty easy, actually. The x plus 3's cancel. I'm left with x minus 3. Here, the x minus 3 cancels with the x minus 3. Now, distribute. Plus 2x plus 6 equals, this all cancels with this, 4. Oh, okay. So that gives me 3x plus 3 equals 4, 3x equals 1, or x equals 1/3. Now you're going to have to take my word for it. It works, and it's done. But that's a difficult question. Okay, I think all I got left are 6-point questions. I hope that's it. Got 2 6-point questions left, and we're done. Now, these are 6-point questions off Regents exams. So that means they're not easy. That means there's a really good chance on this one, especially, that you're going to have imaginary answers because it's a 6-point question. So the first things first, let's take and bring the 16x over. So x to the 4th plus 4x cubed plus 4x squared plus 16x equals 0. Now, I think I want to get a good handle on how many or what kind of solutions there are. I just want to know what the answers are. So I'm going to come here to my calculator, and I'm going to do menu 331. It's not a 2nd-degree polynomial. It is a 4th-degree polynomial. And yes, your calculator will do this. This calculator will do this. So you got to be careful, though. I'm going to put in a 1, enter, a 4, enter, a 4, enter, and a 16. But I still got this last spot, and that's for the constant. No 0, so there isn't one. And I'll click OK, and I click OK. It only gives me 2 answers. I should have 4. I probably should have 4. There's a possibility I have 4. So what I can do is I can do this. I'm thinking because it's a 6-point question, there's some imaginary. So I'll do menu 3, 3, and instead of using 1, find the roots of a polynomial, I'm going to find the complex roots. Menu 3, 3, 3. Nope, that didn't work. Menu 3, 3. Does 2 work? Nope. Huh. Well, anyway, I don't really care that much. I think there's a way to do it. I'll have to figure it out. Out of the first 2, out of all of them, we'll take out an x. So we got x cubed plus 4x squared plus 4x plus 16 equals 0. Now this answer right here, I already know one of my answers is going to be 0. And I knew that from that little work I just did. But now we're going to group. So we're going to group these 2 together. And we're going to take out an x squared. X plus 4. Plus, out of these 2, I can take out a 4. Notice those parentheses match. Remember, anytime we have 4 things, we're going to factor by grouping. So we leave this x here. My first set of parentheses are x plus 4. And my second set of parentheses are x squared plus 4 equals 0. Well, my first 2 answers are the ones I got using my calculator. They're my real solutions. X equals 4, or x equals 0, x equals -4. But this is where I'm going to get my imaginary answers. We've got to solve this. X squared plus 4 equals 0. So that's x squared equals -4. Take the square root. Don't forget when you take the square root to put a plus or minus. And the square root of -4 is 2i. So it's plus or minus 2i. So my 4 answers are 0, -4, plus or minus 2i. Now I can check those if I want to, but right now I'm not going to bother. They all work. I can even check 2i. I'll show you that real quick. 2i control var x And let's just see. We're going to type in x raised to the 4th. Get out of exponent mode. 4x cubed, 4x cubed. Get out of exponent mode. Plus 4x squared plus 4x squared. Enter. I get that weird answer. And then I'm going to type in negative 16x. Something's not right. Oh, God bless it. I keep doing that. See this stupid times button up here? I should have been a plus. I knew that answer didn't look right. All right, so negative 32i, negative 32i. And if you check them all, they would all work. All right, you ready for this behemoth? It's not that bad, kids. It looks bad, but it's not. It's going to take us less than a couple minutes to do. This one's going to end up getting flipped. And do I have anything backwards? Backwards. So that's probably going to be the -1 rule. You just want to be very careful about those things that are backwards. They love to trick you on those. This one we're going to do by grouping. I can take out an x squared. I'm left with x minus 3. And this one I can take out a 6. And I'm left with x minus 3. So I end up with x minus 3 times x squared plus 6. This one on the bottom, I can take out an x. So I take out an x. I'm left with x minus 2. Now I'm on this one. I can take out a 2. X minus 2. On this one here, I can take out an x cubed. X minus 3. This one's going to be backwards. Notice we're going to put that 16x squared up the top, but it goes 4 plus x, 4 minus x. Don't switch it around if it's not switched around. You know, you do it the way it is. X and x plus 4 and minus 2. Okay, ready to lop stuff off. X minus 2 cancels with x minus 2. X minus 3 cancels with x minus 3. Oh, I did it again. It's right here. I knew I made this mistake. I made this mistake earlier. This should be x minus 4. So this x minus 2 cancels with this x minus 2. But this x minus 4 cancels with this x minus 4. But it is the -1 rule, so it makes -1. Don't forget that. I did that same thing in the practice when I was working on these things. Okay, and these, since even though they're backwards, they're okay. They can just cancel each other off because with positive, it doesn't matter which way you order. So in the numerator, I am left with -2 x squared plus 6. And the denominator, I'm left with x to the 4th. Now, again, it'll take you about 2 minutes to do this. It really will. But you should stow a number for x and type in this entire thing exactly as it appears. And then check this one and verify that they work. If they do, you put a big star, done. But that is the right answer. There it is. All of its glory. All right, we're done. Hit like, hit subscribe. Tell your friends about this. Have everybody come and enjoy my math videos. Bye.